guys, it's Vandy. So back with cover of Vanguard deck profiles. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, and story. This time we're covering DZLM set 1 Lilfa. So Lilfa was probably my least favorite, or one of my least favorites, going out from like the second set of like 6 Lyrical Monasterio grade 3s, where she was basically Lyrical Monasterio version of Bastion, who could consistently give the grade 3s boost, but then kind of lacked everything that made Bastion so dangerous, to where I didn't really like her that much. Then we move on to this version of Lilfa, and it's still the same thing. We're like, if you're gonna play like a grade 3 focus deck, you're probably just gonna play Bastion anyways. But the deck does actually feel a little bit more consistent, and I do like playing it a lot more than I playing it originally. So let's get started and see what we got, because honestly, this deck is a little bit more entertaining than before. First today we have a ride deck crest, our energy generator. You may only have one ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck, when you ride this card, when you ride anything, not this card, put this card into your crest zone. If you win second energy, charge 3. Continue to spend 10 energy and auto beginning of your ride phase, energy charge 3, then act once per turn, energy blast 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. It's a free 3 energy every turn, and if you win second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And in decks like this one, where you don't energy blast too much, or in situations where you don't energy blast too much, you can just straight up energy blast 7 to get a free draw, which is helpful for increasing your hand. And in a deck that has a lot of grade 3s, will either give you guard power or give you just enough offensive units to win the game. So all around, it's a nice ride deck crest. I wonder if Bushy ever gets another ride deck crest, but for now, this is what we're going with. Then we have our starter. We have super large scale newbie Lilfa, grade 0 boost, 5k shows, k base, auto and rotopine for second draw card, standard charge, but free draw if you go second. You can make this any starter you want. None of the ride line requires this, but I like going with the theme. We all know I typically keep the ride decks the exact same for the entirety of the deck because it fits the theme, unless I'm building like a combine deck. In that case, the ride deck is free game. So one of Lilfa on the ride deck, just a nice grade 0. You can really make it anyone you want though. Then move on to our triggers. We run our 1 over trigger and greatest star or stanza. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger, 1 over trigger in your deck. When revealed as your trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one mutes, and guess what's for the turn. And you revealed it during your draw check, activate its additional effect, which you get during this fight, you get during your turn. All your rear guards get +10 power. Okay. In a deck that wants to hit your opponent hard with big beat sticks, getting more numbers on top of that is great, especially if that happens early enough in the game where you can kind of do that for the second you start getting to grade 3 and stuff like that. So all around, Estranza is a very good just over trigger for that. You can run Volna for more consistent multi-attack. You can run Spoiler for recycling, though that one I wouldn't necessarily recommend 100%. Or you could run the Dark over trigger, whose name I would never remember, but you get to heal and call. I prefer, though, the Nation over triggers, but Estranza is still good, though, because unlike most over triggers, her effects last the entirety of the game. The only other card that does that is Galmagehelm. So Estranza is a very solid over trigger. I do like her a lot, so she's my one of. Then we have our normal triggers. If you've been paying attention to my deck profiles of recently, you already knew this was coming. Don't ask me why I'm still doing this, because frankly, I'm unaware of it myself at this point. And it's not laziness. It's definitely not laziness, because a lot of these decks were not like this when I edited them, so I subconsciously made the choice to make them like this, so it's definitely not laziness. Anyways, 2 of Transparent Snow Knight Baratoy, 2 copies of Snow Scout Palvi, so both of them are grade 0 with a boost and 4k power. Palvi has 15,000 shield, Baratoy only has 5,000. They're draw trigger and front trigger respectively, and they both share the skill of continuous guard circle. If your opponent's vanguards are grade 3 or greater, they get 5,000 shield. So 10k shield and 20k shield is all around very helpful. Any extra shield you can get in a deck that has a lot of grade 3s is a very nice addition to have. Baratoy helps increase your hand, so you can see a little bit more of your aggressive units and hopefully some more defensive ones as well. While Palvi, well, beat sticks. If you have beat sticks, you want to make them bigger beat sticks. That's kind of the point of it. So Palvi is nice for like the rush tactics and, you know, defending your front row, because if your opponent kind of kills your rear guards that you have to focus on the offense, you're going to be in a little bit of a bad position. So being able to defend them all in one go is pretty nice. And, you know, again, Baratoy for recycling. So, 2 fronts, 2 draws in all. Then we have 3 copies of Fluffy Lady Godleaf. Okay, this one is because of laziness. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. Standard crit, another spot. You can really make this any crit. I only make a Godleaf because I forgot what deck I used as a template for originally. It may have been Kyoka, because I know Kyoka got support in set 2, and I know that's the deck I shoved Godleaf into, but I started just shoving Godleaf into all my Lyrical Monasterio decks just because I was copying and pasting it from the same deck, and it was the easiest English crit I could access to on tabletop, and then all of them have it now. Either way, the 3 Godleaf crits. Then we have 4 copies of Precious 2 and Edwidge, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and about boost to shove to soul, choose music, 2k for the turn. Okay, if you are running into the very specific half of this deck that can cause a soul problem, but again, like specific half, so you are bricking hard on everything else and you are only seeing the soul blasters, then this card will be really useful for you because free soul charge. But if you're not seeing that specific half only, then you're probably going to be fine, but One Assault is solid, and being an extra 2k is helpful a lot. It's like giving your grade 3s Bastion, which honestly Lilfa should have done. But either way, 7 crits in all for the multi-attack plus crits, pressure. Then we have 4 copies of Soft Light Purell, grade 0 boost, 15k show, 5k power. Standard heal, nothing special. You can really make this any heal you want. I just used to make it Purell because To be fair with you, this heal is only still here because it was the one deck that for some reason didn't have Anika as the heal, which I genuinely don't remember why this deck didn't have Anika as the heal, but I mean, since I run Anika as the heal in every other Lyrical Monasterio deck, like how I run Godleave in every Lyrical Monasterio deck, I just chose to keep it Perel and didn't ask questions because why not? You can make it the counter heals, I don't like them too much, but you do you because your deck, so 4 of Perel. Then we move on to our grade 1s. 4 copies of the only main deck grade 1 in here for good reason. Musical Committee Nicoline. Grade 1 boost, 0 shows, K base, contains something after first onto the deck on a opponent guard circle. Choose a mutes, it cannot be hit till in battle. If your hand is 2 more cards in it, choose a card from hand, discard a standard PG, nothing too special about it. Basically means if this is only one of the cards that hit opponent's guard circle, you don't have to discard what's great, because that means you can be as aggressive in the early game. To be fair, your early game technically is grade 2 turn, but even then, to a more technical extent, your early game is the first grade 3 turn you got and see how far you go with it. But then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you for that, if you have low hand cards, you just throw it on Nicoline, or more likely you get to the late game, you have low hand cards, you're kind of spending all your guarding power on keeping yourself alive, and to be fair, you're probably putting all your offensive power onto the board, so when your opponent eventually takes advantage of that, Nicoline. So 4 of her, you can release any PG you want. I just chose to make a Nicoline because why not? I think Nicoline is she's either my favorite Lyrical Monasterio PG or like she's within the top 3. I don't remember who the other ones are. I know Christine, the mermaid one, is at least in the top 3. I just don't know who the other one is. Then we have our last grade 1 in the deck. Obviously, it's the one in the ride deck, and that's extra large room Lilfa. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. I don't know why. She's one of my favorite grade 1s in terms of art. Like, she's like Michu, where I love Michu's outfit, and this one I love her outfit. I don't know why, like, specifically, because most of the time I hate the Lyrical Monasterio outfits. Anyways, auto input wrote upon by a grade 2 card Lilfa in his card name. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater card from your hand, call it a rear guard, back or center, give it boost, and if you call it a card, you draw a card. Okay, so the second you hit grade 2, you get a 10k booster, you get a free hand card to replace it, and then you can early game rush your opponent, which is all around pretty solid. I do love that, like, uniqueness of the grade 1 being able to get a superior call that gives something boost, and also just, like I said, replace it with the draw. All around, very solid. I do like her a lot. I think she's a good grade 1, and one of in the rad deck, not in the main deck. And something really random here. This right here. I know this is not what this is meant to be, especially considering the fact what I'm about to reference came out, I think, either 2 or even 3 years after this card was released. But does anyone else that watch Beyblade X think this is Multi Nanahiro? It looks like her from the back. It does, to be honest. Anyways, grade 2 time. First, we run 3 copies of Immersed in Ripple's Envious. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when she's placed on rear guard other than during the battle phase. If your Vanguard's Lilfa, Soul Blast 2 cards Lilfa in their card names. Check top 5. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater unit card with a different card name from this unit. Call it to rear guard circle, shuffle the deck. All around, pretty solid. It's a free top 5 that can get you literally any rear guard. The only downside is she involves you soul blasting 2 Lilfas specifically, but to my memory, this deck can, most of the actually, yeah, no, this deck can get the grade 2s back, so I don't know why I'm saying to my memory, and I can literally see a card in my sightline that I know sends Lilfas back to soul. Either way, though, being able to get more rear guards is always beneficial, especially because she procs off while you're on grade 2. So like I said before, with a Lilfa, while you get a booster here, you can use her to early game rush, whether you superior call her from Lilfa skill and give her boost, or whether you just normal call her, because she can just flip top 5, and as long as it's a different card name, you get to call it. So it doesn't matter if you're at grade 2 and you flip a grade 3, you can call the grade 3 because she doesn't specify you have to have the card called be grade less than or equal to. So all around, Avinius is pretty good for rear guard spam. The only reason she's not at a 4 is the Soul Blast 2 cost, so she's a nice 3 for me. Then we have 4 copies of probably my most hated card in this deck, and it's not because I hate the card itself, or I don't hate the card skill. I think its skill is really good. I just hate the card itself because of the amount of work I had to go to find this card's English name, because its original Japanese translated name was so different from the English one that it wasn't on TCG Player. It is on TCG Player, but not the one that I had. So I had to go look it up through the fandom, and for some reason she doesn't directly support Lilfa. She just supports having empty rearguard circles. So I had to go to the set that Lilfa was in and go through every single one of the double rares until I found her, and thankfully she was there easily. Anyways, favorite 1, Fluretti. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rearguard. When your other rearguards return to your hand by your grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability, counter plus 1 bounces or put this unit to soul. Draw a card, choose up to 1 grade 3 card from your hand, call it to open rearguard circle. Cool. So any other soul blasters you have outside of Avinius can soul blast her as target. She gets you more multi-attack, which is solid, because she can basically call the unit to, granted, an open rearguard circle, but to the open rearguard circle she just made. And since Lilfa force calls to a column, you pretty much now have 2 extra attacks, one of them being like pseudo bastion numbers. For the record, I'm using air quotes over that, and you have another attack that's like standard numbers. All around, Flirte is nice. She doesn't require the opponent to be at grade 3. She just requires you to bounce anything by grade 3 abilities. She's a very nice generic grade 2 overall for Lyrical Monasterio, but she works really well with Lilfa, so I give her the solid 4 for this. And we have 4 copies of Almost Late Profa, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. Our reason why this thing is still worth in the deck. Auto when placed on rearguard circle. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Lilfa, choose a grade 2 less normal meter with Lilfa in this card name from your drop zone. Shove it to Soul. If you put a card, she gets 5,000 power for that turn. All pretty solid. She's not mandatory, so if you don't want to use your skill for whatever reason that may be, you don't have to. But the fact that she is a free send any Lilfa grade 2 or lower into your Soul to get fodder for her is great. But then also the fact that you can get 5k from that is even better. And the best part all around about this is she's free. There's no counter blast, there's no soul blast, there's no discard cost. Literally the only thing you have to do is just have a grade 3 greater Vanguard with Lilfa in the card name. That's it. All around, Perfla is a very solid grade 2. I do like her a lot. She gets you the soul card. She's a 15k swing. She's obviously like not the best in terms of numbers, but she's by all means not the worst. And you know, worst case scenario, and you have to like superior call something for one of the Lilfa skills. I'm pretty sure both of them say they have to be for grade 3 or graders. But if you can find a way to superior call from those skills, she still works. And she also works when she's placed from anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's from hand, drop zone, wherever, whenever. So if you call from a Venia skill, you can use it. All around, very solid grade 2, good 4 of. And then we have the last grade 2 in the deck, one of in the ride deck and in the main deck of Best Love Moment Lilfa, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when she's rode upon by a grade 3 card Lilfa in the card name, choose one of your grade 2 or greater rear guards and may bounce it to hand. So pretty much the unit that you called from this that no longer has boost, you can just immediately bounce to hand. All around, solid. I don't like that ability because like a lot of the grade, and this was before we got like Coral that can now also do this, but a lot of the grade 2s already, or not, well yeah, a lot of the grade 2s focused on like being able to bounce. So it felt annoying that like this one also had it, but at the same time this one has the May clause attached to it, and also it's when rode upon, so it's not that bad. I still don't like it, but it's fine. It works. Plus, I run this anyways just to... Outside of theme, I would run it anyways just so I can get this skill, because this is actually one of my favorite skills, and this is one of my favorite looking grade 1s in Lyrical Monasterio, so yeah, take that as you will. Either way, one of best love moment Lilfa in the ride deck. I don't know what to say about it, honestly. Then move on to our grade 3s, the vast majority of this deck. 4 copies of Passionate Devotee Stridit. And you know, I'm just not going to say 4 anymore because I'm just going to say this right now. All of the grade 3s are at max copy. So when we get to the ride deck one, I'll explain that in a second. But anyways, 4 copies of Stridit. Grade 3, 10%, 30k base. Auto placed on rearguard circle from the hand. If you have a grade 3 greater Vanguard Lilfa in the card name, this unit gets +5,000 power for that turn. And then if it was placed during your main phase, Soul Blast, you draw a card. All around pretty solid because both Lilfas can superior call. So being able to give that 5k is great. But, you know, if you end up placing it during the main phase, normally or not even just normally, like you can superior call it during the main phase via something like, you know, a Venus over here. But if you didn't try to superior call it from Lilfa, you can get that draw, which is great. The Soul Blast 2 is a little bit hefty, but that's what our little favorite one over here is for. So all around pretty solid. Gets hand cards if we really need it. She's an 18k, but she is not our most ideal target when it comes to everyone else. So we put her at like as a nice 4. Then we have Decorate Shiny Else, grade 3 to 10%, 13k base, auto placed on rearguard circle from the hand. If you have a Vanguard of Lilfa in the card name, choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater unit card with a different card name from this unit from your hand, call it to back or rearguard circle, then it gets boost for that turn, and if you call it a card, perform one of the following. If it's your main phase, you draw a card, or if it's your battle phase, +10. So, here's the important part. Then this is a fun play that I learned you could do while I was first playing this deck. You get to grade 1, then you ride to your grade 2. On your grade 2 turn with the skill of your grade 1, you superior call her to then draw a card. Then you use her skill because she was placed and you have a Lilfa Vanguard of any grade. It can be the grade 2 as well. You can choose it to 1 grade 2 or greater from the hand and with a different card name, call it to back or rearguard circle. This is where you call her to make her 23k because she works well, okay, she doesn't get the 23k, but the fact is like you have a 13k swinger that you can just randomly use, or you could use her, again, 13k swingers, but either way, after you do that, it gets a boost, so you know it can do something useful in back row, and you get a draw to possibly do that again if, say, for example, you hit a Venius, which all around is pretty solid. All around, Ellis is a good grade 3. She is free rear guard gain. She either gets you a hand card to replace it, or if it's during the battle phase where you called her from one of the Lilfa, she's a 23k booster essentially. So all around, Ellis is a very solid grade 3. I like her a lot, so obvious 4 of. And then we have our Frolic Hopper Foonhant, grade 3, 200% 13k base, continues rear guard to guard circle. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 guard Lilfa its card name, plus 10,000 power and plus 10,000 shield, active player's turns. Okay. Now we can't say that Lilfa was not meant to be like knockoff Bastion or Lyrical Monasterio's version of Bastion. Before, it was just because a lot of people would say just because, you know, it focused on grade 2 or graders and just so happened that the full form of Lilfa required you to use grade 3s. But, you know, it focused on grade 2s too, so it wasn't like Bastion necessarily. It was just similar. And then they go ahead and give us literally Lilfa's version of Grandeur Edge. If you don't know what Grandeur Edge does, its literal skill is continuous Vanguard, sorry, not Vanguard, continuous guard circle or rear guard. If your Vanguard's a Bastion, 10,000 power, 10,000 shield. So this literally is the exact same. And then auto rear guard, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked while boosted by a grade 2 or greater unit. Energy blast 3, choose one of your grade 2 or greater rear guards, bounce to the hand. All around pretty solid. It's a way to open up rear guard circles to use your Lilfas that have to call to open rear guards a little bit more easier, and not to mention the fact it gives you more possible targets for favorite one over here, and thankfully not L's. I had to double check to make sure L's didn't say open rear guard circles. Either way though, if you end up having the free energy for her, you definitely can use her to help increase your hand, or maybe even bounce back. She can even bounce back herself actually. Say for example, you're making like some big attacks and you want some extra guard power for next turn, you can just energy blast away, bounce yourself back, or if you have another copy on board, bounce that one back. Either way, Funa is a nice grade 3, has defensive capabilities, which is very helpful in this deck, has offensive capabilities because 23k base guaranteed, and that's just great, and she has the ability to bounce other cards with guard power back to your hand. What's not to love, easy 4 of. And then we have highest dreamer Lilfa. I did not realize that rhyme. What's not to love, easy 4 of. Well, it doesn't rhyme in the technical sense, but it sounds like it rhymes if you say it fast enough. Anyways, highest dreamer Lilfa, grade 3, 200% 13k base, not in the ride deck by the way, so this is 4 copies in the main deck. Act Vanguard once per turn, Soul Blast 1, all of your grade 2 or greater rear guards get boost for the turn. Okay, you know, this was like the one gripe I think I had with Bastion where like Bastion himself couldn't give boost. It was specifically Darkstride who eventually got banned, or choice restricted with Bastion Prime, I think. I forgot, it was one of the two. So being able just to Soul Blast 1 to give all your grade 2 or greater boost is nice. Granted, they have to be on the board present for that because it's not like this thing gets a continuous skill that gives them that. So like say for example, you use a skill during your main phase, then you attack, then you bounce a column, and then you call stuff. Well, the new called stuff doesn't get boost because they weren't on the field for this effect. But hey, boost is boost and it's only a Soul Blast for it. And then auto Vanguard, at the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If your back row has 3 or more grade 2 or grade 3 rear guards in them, Counter Blast 1, choose one of each from your back row and front row, return them to your hand. If you return 2 units, choose up to 1 grade 3 card from your hand, call to an open rear guard circle. So you do get 4 attacks with this deck, very simple if you have her on the Vanguard circle, and you know, she can open up your rear guards a little bit more easier and kind of like make Funha go a little bit more consistently, being able to clear up your board in case you're playing against a board nuke deck. So Lilfa's good as this, but there's a reason why she's the one in the main deck and not the one in the ride deck, and that's kind of for obvious reasons. Like once we read the ride deck ones, I think it's her first skill, but either way though, grade 2's boost is not bad, and consistent, like, you know, you get 4 attacks regardless of a grade the opponent's Vanguard's at, is solid. So, you know, she's nice 4 for that, but ride deck grade 3. 1 of the ride deck, 3 of the main deck of Brightest Dreamer Lilfa. Grade 3, 200% 30k base. You know what's funny? The 2 deck profiles I did before this, Lutetia and Michu, are both the only 2 Lyrical Monasterio decks that don't run the new grade 3s in the ride deck because, okay, they can. Well, Lutetia can't, but Michu can. But I chose to record those 2 first because those are the ones I was the most hyped for. So it feels so weird to now say that the new version is in the ride deck, even though for those 2 it wasn't. Anyways, Brightest Dreamer Lilfa, grade 3, 10% 13k base. Dress up Highest Dreamer Lilfa. During this fight, it also is regarded as specified cards. So during deck building, you can have them both at max copies, like we're doing here. But when they're in the fight, they're the exact same cards, so they can persona right off of each other. So say, for example, you start off the fight with her, you can persona ride her during the later game if it's more beneficial to go into her, which it never will be, but it's an option if you want it. Or you could start off the game with her in your ride deck and then just evolve her into this later on. Anyways, skill, the first one, and the reason why she's the one in the main deck, or in the ride deck, continuous Vanguard. All your grade 2 or greater rear guards get boost, so automatically better than Lilfa, because regardless of when they come onto the board, they will always have boost. It is no cost whatsoever. And then more importantly, all of your other grade 3 units with Lilfa in their card name get plus 20,000 shield. So that includes herself, but like not the copy of this that's using that skill. Which means if you have like other Brightest Dreamers in your hand, they're 20k shields. More importantly, this is now a 20k shield. That's the reason why this card's here at max copies. This card, once you hit grade 3, is a 20k shield. And obviously, you know, you want to use that because when we'll get to a second skill in a second, but I'm just going to say this right now. Like, this card all around is just a straight up upgrade and better version of Lilfa to the point where you would never need to, like, persona ride this on top of this. So the only reason you could logically say this is in the deck is without knowing the shield skill. So without knowing this effect, the only reason you could say you run this in the deck was just so you could say you have extra persona ride targets. But being able now to, you know, use her as a 20k shield is very valuable. And then the other skill, Auto Vanguard, when she attacks into anything, beginning, so not at the end of the battle, which means you can give your triggers to the units you call. If all your units are grade 2 or greater, including herself, but obviously that's going to happen, Counterblast 1, choose up to 3 of your rear guards, bounce them to the hand, and then choose up to 2 grade 3 cards from your hand, call each of them to the rear guard circles in the same column. So, you know, she only calls 1, she calls them both to the same column, but they don't have to go to open rear guard circles. I mean, they most likely will, but they don't have to go to open rear guard circles. You're bouncing back 3, so you're getting to at least keep 1, so you're getting extra guard power, so maybe Funat. Best part is if you play your energy right, technically speaking, go from full board to mostly empty board outside of back row center with the second use that skill, because, you know, you use her skill to bounce another rear guard. Then you bounce everything that isn't the back row center when you boost with Lilfa, and then you use Lilfa's skill to call 2 more things, maybe Funat and maybe Ellis, and then Ellis gets you a rear guard, and hell, who knows, maybe you have a, a Florenti back there in the back center. So you Cell Blast, so you Counter Blast when you send her to soul to draw a card and call something just to get extra rear guards. Either way though, Lilfa is just a very solid grade 3. She adds a bunch more stuff back to your hand. She literally turns this into a 20k shield and herself, so technically speaking, you have 7 20k shields in your deck, but I just like to say 4 because, you know, your priority is Personarized with this one, but just in case, you know. Either way, though, very solid grade 3, has boost, has shield power, literally can bounce a board back and then some. All around makes for a very solid grade 3, so 3 of in the main deck, 1 of the right deck. And without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. All around this deck is actually a little bit more entertaining than it was before. I still feel like it lacks some things, like, I would like to be able to, I feel like it can make a full board restand though. I just have to figure out how to use it properly, because that play I just described is a play I haven't tried yet, and I'm pretty sure that does, like, count as a full board restand. But either way though, it's a fun deck to play. You know, we have consistent guard power over here, which honestly is very satisfying, calling this down to board, swinging as a 23k, and then proceeding to either bounce it or bounce something else, and immediately swinging with Lilfa to bounce the vast majority of your board, which is just fun. Els is just great for combo pieces, whether it's getting numbers or hand cards, whether it's main phase or battle phase. And, you know, Strand is here to be here, and this is literally just 20k shield on steroids. So, and also cycles and soul. So without further ado, I'm going to end this one here. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join the Twitch. I'll see you on this one. Don't forget to set up your vanguards.